So, Chair Bellick this will probably be his last meeting, so if there's, and he's been serving for longer than I've been around, for sure. Seen a lot of plans come through, so I don't know if anybody's interested in taking over as chair after this meeting.
Thought we just voted you back in.
Yeah, don't give him a choice. That's, yeah.
Well, I've moved.
That makes a difference.
And there's lots of life changes going on right now, so
Okay.
things are pretty crazy.
Yeah. So do we have to add that to the agenda?
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
Where did you move to?
Pleasant Ridge.
Not too far away.
Because there, my gosh, moving into a house in Pleasant
Oh, really?
Ridge. Yeah, on, right here in discussion.
Okay.
Kensington.
After an
Okay.
introduction.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so nice
So
over there.
am I allowed
I spent a lot of time driving around there.
Found a house on the street that I didn't even know existed
Okay.
over there. So
That's why
You wanna-
sat next to him. So
When it comes to the
oh, so beautiful.
agenda items, want to just chime in and make a proposed change? And then we can, I don't know if anybody wants to volunteer, or we can talk about it during the general discussion items, but. Well, it can't be me. That's the only, and actually, yeah, it can't be Melanie
And it
either.
can't be me, so.
All right.
Well,
Nobody wants it, I guess I can.
all right.
I've been around pretty long.
Okay, so we'll do an election
you've
during.
been longer than I have, so you and Sharon.
Look at he's so laid back.
Yep. All right.
So I'm not making a motion for me to.
You would just, right, someone else will have to at least do that. Yep. So you'll just make a motion to change the,
All right, yeah.
or revise the agenda.
Do we have everybody that we're expecting?
I think we do.
Okay.
I mean, this is it, right? This is the active
Right, he's not on
board?
there.
This is-
Yeah, so we'll, after this meeting, we'll have to find a new member as well, but we have enough for quorum for this meeting.
Do we have? Okay.
Yes.
So even consultants or?
Yep,
Okay.
everybody's here.
Okay. We're going to call this meeting to order. Can we have a roll call?
Directors Johnston,
Here. Present.
Piana,
Here.
Stahl,
Here?
Tovar,
Here.
Weiner,
Here.
Bellick.
Here. Okay. Next item on the agenda, the approval of the minutes of the March 3rd, 2016 meeting.
Move to approve the meeting minutes for March.
I support.
Ready to roll call? Okay. Directors Johnston,
I'll abstain.
Piana,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes?
Tovar,
Yes.
Weiner,
Yes.
and Chair Bellick.
Yes. Okay, next item for business is the review of 567 Livernois Street for Axel Brewing, the combined 381 plan review.
I can introduce it, and then Elizabeth Masserang from PM Environmental can chime in with more details on the proposed plan. As stated in the staff report in your packet, Axel Brewing is here with a proposed development on Livernois in a former former diamond drilling facility, functionally obsolete, certified by Oakland County. It's about 9,900 square feet. It's been vacant for quite some time, and the applicants are proposing a adaptive reuse of the facility for production, office, tap room, and outdoor seating area. The applicants have a main facility and office in Royal Oak, and this is meant to be a complementary facility. That's sort of the public face, and for Livernois and in Ferndale as well. Proposed improvements that have been discussed at a previous planning commission meeting and approved by city council as well. Roofing replacements, reconfiguring drains, replacements of mechanical, electrical, HVAC systems. There's a proposed $2.8 million investment creating 5 to 6 full-time equivalent jobs and 10 part-time jobs. Also 10 to 15 construction jobs are proposed as part of the redevelopment. And as I said, it's kind of the first catalytic project that has potential to be catalytic in the Livernois corridor. It's rezoned, I think, back in 2008 to be more of a mixed-use corridor. So we're really trying to encourage walkable businesses that complement a lot of the infrastructure improvements that have been made to Livernois. And so the outdoor seating area and things like that, we feel like this could be one of the first big development on Livernois. Getting into some of the details, and I'll let Elizabeth talk more about it, but the total reimbursement is $226,603 for a duration of 28 years. The only caveat to that is that the applicant's pursuing support from the MEDC, from the state, from the Michigan Strategic Fund for use of school millages, which would reduce the reimbursement period from 28 years to 20 years. So that's not guaranteed, but it is something that could reduce the period as well. In the packet, you saw the tax increment financing tables for both scenarios. Just hopefully you were able to look at both of those. And then eligible expenses include just the baseline environmental assessments, demolition, infrastructure improvements, site preparation, and brownfield plan preparation. Staff has been working with the applicant for quite a few months now on a plan that it would benefit both parties and incentivize the project. And so initial plans involved some of the revolving loan fund, staff directed based on an audit that we're doing of the revolving loan fund that be taken out, and the applicant reworked the plan. I think also considering some of the recent updates and a new taxable value since the plan was initially presented from Oakland County. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have, and then the applicants are here as well for any questions in more detail that you might need.
Welcome. Was there any overview of the project that you would like to provide us as far as what this project as Axel Brewing is going to really provide?
Yeah, I can speak to a little bit of the background with PM Environmental. We kind of hopped on board the development team towards the end of last year at the initial conception of the project and discussing it with the city, and felt that just based on the financial endeavor being taken from Axel Brewing, they're a local Michigan-based company over in Royal Oak, relatively new, looking for this to be a very big project for them. Started looking at options with the city as far as programs that could help bridge assistance with some of the financing gaps in the project. And so looking through that and through our completion of environmental assessments, found the property to be slightly contaminated, not enough to the point where they have to take any action as far as remediation, just preventing, maintaining surface cover across the property, and also an assessor's deeming of the building to be functionally obsolete just based on the existing current conditions. And so through discussions with the city, felt that the brownfield program, tax increment financing really fit the project. And what was initially discussed was use of the revolving loan fund just to help provide some of that upfront relief to the project. As the project progressed and further down the road that we got with it, I think reevaluated the feasibility of being able to apply it to this project. And for us, that was kind of a bit of a blowback. It's, like I said, it's a pretty large endeavor for them, and that was kind of some money that we were really hoping could help jumpstart the initial efforts on the project. But that being said, we've been working with Justin over the past several months to rework the plan and to look at a way to use tax increment financing to the developer. We're engaging the MEDC to try and reduce that payback period and try to increase the increment that can assist and go back with them. So the plan before you with the 28 years is the existing request should we get the MEDC support, then we're anticipating that to be paid back within 20 years.
Hey, Justin, have we had plans recently that have gone to the state for asking for that request?
Yes.
Recently?
Most recently, a little last week, I believe, the Ferndale House development at 430 West 9 Mile, they also requested MSF support, and they were approved for that last week.
Were they? Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Okay. That's good to know, because I know for a while there, I think that the state wasn't approving those kind of
Right. Right.
requests.
Yeah. I was at the meeting. The representatives there were very supportive, and the MEDC was really helpful through the process, and it met a lot of their criteria, and potentially, hopefully, this project would as well.
Okay. Well, I mean, just looking over the basics of the project, I see you had mentioned that you didn't find anything environmentally that was really kind of like off the charts. You'll be familiar with that area. I mean, yeah, that's pretty exciting for that stretch of Livernois, and I kind of understand your what you're going after, really treating that as like a gateway into Ferndale, but really connecting it to Detroit, which is also pretty exciting because it is an area that's really developing quickly, and definitely see the future of that Livernois stretch, connecting Oakland County with Detroit, evolving with the area.
We need that vision.
Was there anything that you would like to kind of share with us about your plans?
Yeah, I've had several viewings that from you guys. I'm Dan Riley. I'm the president of Axel, and Gary Gatkowski, our chief financial officer. We're just same reason you just highlighted. It's what drew us to the street and to that area. The mission of creating a really community-focused gathering place and experience, consistent with what our brand is looking to achieve. But to your point, connecting with neighborhoods, and we love the corridor. We love the possibilities. We've been engaging with the Live Six folks as well about kind of starting to really cultivate relationships between our brand and those communities. And so from a development standpoint, we're excited. I mean, yes, there's a little frustration based on our initial conversations about accessing revolving loan fund, and we are, as you can see, investing really significant amount of money in this project. But we do believe in the long-term viability, and we believe strongly, or we will be doing it, that it's going to be a catalyst for the area and a really vital part of doing it for a long time to come. So we're excited, but we definitely all the help we can get because it has been a big stretch and there was a lot of infrastructure involved.
Yeah, I see in your plans, one of the things, you're looking to really use the existing structure and maybe just kind of make a common space out, and it looked like you had a couple different alternative plans there. Is there a particular plan that you're leaning towards, one or the other? So you had like an option A and an option B?
And if I can chime in, the final plan that was approved by council, I want to say May, was it May, I believe? That's the final, I guess, layout of the outdoor area. There were a few initial configurations discussed with the Planning Commission, April, I want to say. And so the final configuration is sort of, I guess, it juts out from the center of the building, the outdoor seating area. And actually, part of the discussion at the Planning Commission was potentially under an initial layout, the applicant would have had to move a crosswalk, and with the new configuration, not only did it help kind of protect pedestrians, provide more screening, kind of adjust the parking a little bit, but also as far as the infrastructure, they don't have to move the crosswalk. There's some hydrant work and some other things that need to be done, but it saves a lot of headache from moving a crosswalk that was part of a grant-funded project. So.
And outside of the shell of the building, it's pretty much everything is completely.
Yeah.
The shell's there.
Mhm.
And just at the same time, I
Sure.
appreciate the considerations for the support for this. This is the type of project that no matter how well
Did anybody have any comments on I mean, I think the merit of the project is there. Is there any questions about the details of it?
If I may, I've been, I think, on every board that Mr. Riley has had to come to for this project, from the Planning Commission, City Council, now the Brownfield, and I think all the details of what should be happening or what could be happening on this site have been worked out to the satisfaction of all those bodies. And I think this board is looking at some guidelines for future incentives, and I think this is an appropriate use for now. Going forward, I think we're getting a little bit more critical of where we're giving our incentives. So, but I think over a 20-year period, always the concern is the school taxes. But I think here, the limited amount on a yearly basis, I think, is palatable for this project.
Yeah, I agree, it's not a real big amount that we're proving here either, so.
So, and Justin, you mentioned, so Livernois it's been rezoned, and it seems to be kind of next priority or consistent. So this is a plan that's in front of us. Are there others to start, I guess keeping with that in mind for us to be aware of and keep it in context with that whole corridor?
There are some, I would say there are some. The former American Legion Hall, it's more of the north end of Livernois, but still Livernois, and that's proposed for, I think, 14 or 16 condo units. And so I think that, what's that?
Market rate.
Market rate, yeah. And so that's kind of starting at the north end, but there hasn't been an official site plan submitted for some other projects, so I can't really speak on them, but I get calls about Livernois constantly, I think, and partially because of the changes that Planning Commission and Council have made, but also because I think projects like this are...
And from a brownfield perspective, there's known sites or facilities along the corridor?
There's some others that haven't officially been deemed for Oakland County as functionally obsolete, but I would imagine if the county went in there, they would probably see that others would be.
Yeah, I could speak to that.
Yeah, you've probably been in them.
The amount of site assessment work that we do on that corridor, a lot of the old tool and die, former industrial, it could range. It all depends on what kind of operations and for how long. In this instance, there was some initial concerns with underground storage tanks prior to being regulated. Luckily, in their case, we didn't find any. We went out there and did the ground penetrating radar, but there are numerous sites along there that we've assessed that they range.
And I just wanted to reiterate, our mayor has said repeatedly that we're not looking to make Livernois corridor an extension of the downtown.
Correct.
We're not looking to make another entertainment, filled corridor.
Elizabeth, I have one question about the value that you folks used as the taxable value. I know it's just an estimate, but the tax information, I was just trying to figure out where you got that 115,080 from.
Oh, so that's the existing taxable value on file with Oakland County Equalization. The post-development taxable value of $300,000 was an estimate that we received from Oakland County based on the shifting use change and the improvements being made to the property. That was their estimated value upon completion of the development.
The copy of the tax that you gave us here
Oh,
has
is it slightly
114,740.
Yeah, I believe back over the summer when they went out to reassess it, Oakland County.
It changed?
Yep.
Okay, well, that makes sense, and it's just an estimate anyway, so that'll all be worked out. And then the other question I have, it was deemed a facility because of the benzene and whatever it is. And you mentioned in here that they're going to keep it capped so that there's no direct contact with that.
Exactly.
And then over time, that'll have to be inspected and maintained so that, especially in this use, that people aren't going to be in contact with it. how is that gonna, how are we gonna ensure that that inspection will continue forward? Is it gonna be part of any of the documents, or?
So I guess it's more of a regulatory standpoint as far as enforcement on that. We completed the documentation of due care on behalf of Axel Brewing, and what that does is that outlines their responsibilities basically to the state on maintaining that surface cover.
Okay, so that's all through the state of
Yeah.
Michigan and the Part 201 rules.
Yeah, it's part of your continuing obligations as the property
Okay.
owner.
Well, good. Well, that's good, because, there's not a lot there, but we do have to make sure that it stays covered so that people aren't in
That's good.
contact with whatever, so. So that's all good. So I'm satisfied that that's going to happen then.
Is there any-
So, Justin, recommendation shows 20 years, but we're saying 28? Do we want-
Yeah, it's sort of contingent. The recommendation, I guess, would be a motion for 28 with the condition that if if the MSF does approve school millages, then it would,
20 is acceptable.
yes.
And also, just to make sure that it's also on file, so at this point, it would be documented today as approval if it were to go forward as a local brownfield plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, with 28.
Yes.
And so if the MSF does not approve for 20, this board would still approve as with 28.
And I see one of the conditions had specified, well, one of the recommended conditions, I'm assuming these came from the city's environmental consultant that looked at the plan,
Yes.
that it should include a prohibition to appeal to any property taxes.
Correct.
Can you kind of expand on
Sure.
that?
As part of our audit, and I think this was probably on one of the early brownfield plans, but in some of the reimbursement agreements, it didn't include a condition like that you could prohibit on. And so there was one plan, I believe, that did appeal to the tax tribunal, and I think they were successful. So that
increment
it changed. Yes. Yes. So going forward, that would be included in any brownfield plan you would see.
makes sense.
Yes.
And then the only other comment that I had about the conditions, it states that the project will result in the removal and mitigation of source contamination, and we aren't really going to remove or mitigate anything. Well, I guess mitigation is a concrete cap. So perhaps instead of saying remove, we should put the project will result in the control or something in mitigation rather than removal, because we don't want to force you to remove anything that doesn't need to be removed if there's no risk of
Mitigation of exposure.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're removing something that has
Not
contamination.
They aren't.
Yeah. Well, not there.
But I think you were looking at asbestos at one time, but that proved not to be the case, so.
Right.
Through the chair, Mr. Riley, I know your intentions of your timeline was to open in the fall. I wonder if your timeline, open date has been altered?
No. We're right now, our contracts are ready to start some serious work. We're probably looking at towards the end of November, practically, but we'll see how the timeline goes. If we're doing, soft openings in early December, I think Gary and I would be very pleased.
Our contractor has a reputation for very good work done very quickly. So we're
made some adjustments to the recommendations. Do we want to get that in order?
So change the language in 5B to delete removal and. That would be the first one. Second one is, what else?
Well,
Except
the
20
opening.
to 28 years.
Yeah, the
is
28 to
instead-
20 years. Make the change from 20 to 28 years
If they don't
if they don't get
proceed.
the,
Mhm.
which really is, we're making an exception because typically we like to make them 20 for sure.
Right.
But it's worth it for this one, so.
That's in a condition?
What?
Making the change from
Right.
28 to, or 20 to 28.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so condition 3 could be just amended to say that the reimbursement period be 28 years, limited to 20 should the MSF approve school millages. So just adding at the front of that, the reimbursement period be 28 years.
Okay. So am I hearing a motion?
I'll do a motion to recommend that we do it subject to the two conditions.
I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Okay.
So on 5C, it talks about jobs. Is that, I know in certain cities or some of the debates going on now is, are you able to put jobs within some of these incentives? A job number? I mean, granted, they're create jobs, but I mean, I didn't think that was, I'm not a lawyer.
No, my understanding was that since it's a finding, it couldn't be a condition, but it can be a finding.
So it's just the fact that it says estimated to create certain, as opposed to
Right.
will create, there's a difference in that one.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
And, I mean, we specifically didn't put in here a clawback either, right?
Right.
If the brewery doesn't create 5 jobs, we'll rescind your
Right.
Okay.
not doing that either, so, which is something that we can do. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So again, I'll make the motion to approve it with the two conditions we discussed.
Seconded?
Did we have a vote?
Directors Piana,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes?
Tovar,
Yes.
Weiner,
Yes.
Johnston,
Abstain.
Chair Bellick.
Yes. Okay. That's it.
Thank you. I look forward to your opening.
Yes.
Molly, hopefully that house will be just across the street. Up on the dais.
Yeah. We'll meet again in the park
I was
someday.
gonna say, if anyone's not on the dais. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Good luck.
Justin, we'll connect you next week. Look forward to meeting your new boss.
Yes, sounds good.
Okay, well, we don't really have another item on the agenda, but
Yeah.
Couple general discussion.
Introductions and
Yes.
elections.
So, Stephen Johnston is our newest member of the BRA. I don't know if you want to kind of tell everybody your background and how long you've been in Ferndale.
Sure. I grew up in St. Clair Shores. I went to school on the west side of the state and then moved to Ferndale when I started school at Wayne State in 2011. So, 2012. So about 4 years I've been in Ferndale. I work in Raylo. I'm an attorney. I do mostly probate litigation and some property use. So I kind of wanted to get involved. I love Ferndale, and this looked like a good opportunity to get my foot in the door. And I'm interested to dive more into the book and get, I guess, a better understanding of what we're going to be doing. So nothing against the project. I just didn't feel comfortable enough to give it a vote. So
Spoken like an attorney.
I don't want this to come back and bite me someday. You know. Any questions, I guess, for me or about what I do?
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
You're here.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your service.
Yeah, I did come here one time to complain about the pawn shop that was going in on the 8 Mile
Mhm.
by Bennett over there. So that's my one experience being in this building. But I will hopefully have some more. So.
Yes. And then also, as we discussed earlier, Chair Belloc, who's served the board for quite a while, and been, you've seen a lot of plans come through, and hopefully you've seen some of the good things that can come from this program with 965 Wanda, and I'm not sure what other plans you've been on the board for, but it's definitely appreciated by the city. So I don't know if you.
Well, we've definitely seen an evolution of projects.
Mhm.
My first project was at the tail end of the storage facility, and that was kind of this.
What year was that?
I don't know, 2006 maybe. I don't know.
10 years.
Yeah. But
2005 you were appointed.
okay.
Pretty close.
Yeah. So, I mean, at that time it was a lot of new construction, but now it seems like it's adaptive reuse, which is a little more exciting, I think, and a little more impactful in the community to get kind of these more challenging structures back on the tax rolls in a different form that's really kind of transforming the areas around them. It's just beyond just paying taxes. It's actually kind of, something bigger. So, I think the biggest thing I've seen is sometimes the projects don't always quite deliver what they're selling, and I don't know if what we could do about that. I know one that comes to mind, and maybe I'm just not familiar with it, is the what is it, like the tasting room that was the owners of the lab had.
Saratoga.
Yeah. And that was
That's
really
kind of
promoted as a public space.
Mhm.
I don't know whatever happened with that.
Yeah, I can find out and report back as before me, but we're kind of doing an audit right now of everything that's been done in the past, and how those projects are actually benefiting, or how they're affecting the tax rolls now. So I anticipate. I'm not sure when we'll meet again because I don't have any other plans proposed, but I hope that later this year we can kind of share that report with everyone and see where we landed. But
just out of curiosity, that was was it the facades that you were talking about with they actually came back with the tax tribunal? Because I know that they had sold it.
I believe it was. It was either that one or there was one on Woodward Heights near Bermuda, I think.
Okay.
It was one of those two.
Yeah. But no, it's been wonderful serving with you guys. It's very, it's something that I do nothing about really. But thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you for 10 years of
Yeah.
volunteer service.
Yes,
That's amazing.
That's great. So I believe we need to hold an election for anyone interested in being the next chair. And then I anticipate we'll have another member joining, hopefully, for the next meeting. We'll be a full group again. But
Well, I'll express my interest there.
I make a motion for Doug to be chair.
great.
Should talk like that.
All right. Yes, I guess we do have to vote.
I'll abstain.
Directors Piana,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes?
Philbar,
Yes.
Rayner,
I'll abstain.
Johnston,
Yes.
and Bellick.
Yes.
All right.
Is there pain grease?
Pretty much.
Okay.
You get to wield the gavel.
Yeah.
Practice.
And then I guess the only other discussion item is, so starting on Monday, there will be a new Community and Economic Development Director starting. Jordan Twardy. I think some of you know him, and others you'll meet him soon. His background is former director, I guess now, of the 8 Mile Boulevard Association. So he has a lot of great experience energizing businesses and a good understanding of incentives, I hear. And he's going to be a great asset to the team, and the CED department will be a full team again, which I'm looking forward to. So I've got to learn quite a bit since Derek left in Brownfields, considering I knew nothing when he was here. So I've learned quite a bit, and I expect I'll continue to learn. So he'll be starting next Monday, and yeah, I anticipate whatever the next meeting is, he'll be joining as well. So.
On a good note,
Yeah.
Justin is swamped with work.
It's a good problem.
It's a good problem to have.
Yep.
So, yeah, definitely getting him the support he needs.
Appreciate it.
Hey, I know this is more of a DDA kind of thing.
Mhm.
But what is that big, scary-looking LED panel that they're putting in front of the buildings out there? That's 2 businesses wide. That looks like it's going to be
Where?
like a jumbotron
Where?
I will have to
in front of the new yoga place and
Oh,
Oh.
where at old Mother Fletcher's place?
Yeah, I'll have to check.
I'll have to drive down there.
The DD
I go there all the time. Sometimes I'm not.
it's
they were
it-
just as I was driving by, it's like the length of the building, and it looks like it's like a monitor that's going to be the
Oh.
width of the building.
We don't
Well,
know
that's
how
the
to
case.
do that.
If that's the case, that's not permitted. There was a
That doesn't
DDA.
comply with the sign.
Anyone in this, the sign ordinance is kind of has a lot of regulations to it, and
And they have an appearance review committee.
yes, so we had an appearance review committee meeting to discuss something proposed that was more of an address. It was metal with the addresses on it. That was going to be on the top, which is permitted, but there should be no message board associated with that. So,
I'm going to run down there right now because they're installing it.
yeah, I didn't drive. I guess I didn't drive on 9 Mile today, so I will have to check that out. But thanks for the heads up.
We don't allow digital anything,
Yeah.
right, on our signage.
Well, changeable messages that are 8 square feet. So that sounds like it would be much bigger.
Well, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and changeable message boards can only change twice in 24 hours.
Oh, really?
So
That's good.
yeah, but so
Pretty annoying.
yeah.
So, Justin, do we know what is the status of the revolving fund?
So it's currently under an audit between our environmental consultant and finance department. So we're reviewing it. It is I think lower than anticipated, but scheduled to be replenished itself within the next 3 to 4 years. So it's still a tool we can use to a point. And so I don't have the exact numbers at this time, but the audit is going on right now. And so, I think there was a time where there were a lot of businesses that were interested because we had the LSRF, and I think there's still a lot of people interested. It just changes the plans we see, kind of like you saw today. But so it's under heavy review and audit right now.
So maybe the next meeting, whatever that is, if that could be a line item just for us to.
Exactly.
Cause the last plan we reviewed that wanted to borrow from that, we had no idea what that was. So that
Yeah.
would be helpful. And then I thought we used to get some updates on where the plans were, how much was coming in and out.
Okay.
We did.
That would be helpful too.
Okay.
Because it's when we don't meet that often,
Right.
I have no idea how much we're talking about.
No, that's good to know.
Right.
And can you also give an update? Commissioner Stahl and I are on a short-term committee
Yes. So
on behalf of the board.
with we based on a lot of the requests that I was receiving, and not for just brownfields. I think developers are becoming more savvy and they understand there are more, potential incentives out there, and so it really became apparent quickly that we need to have better ways to understand financial need and also just how these plans all fit together, because there, like you said, there were gaps for quite a while on when these plans were coming in, and times have kind of changed, I think, since a lot of those plans were approved. So Sharon and Melanie are on a committee that was proposed by council for it's called the Economic Incentives committee, and so we've met twice so far, and we'll meet again in a couple weeks. Melanie, Sharon, another council member, a planning commission member, finance director, our consultant, and April and myself. And essentially it's to recommend to council more parameters on projects we receive, whether it's incentivizing a key corridor or directing incentives to clean really, really dirty sites. And so we're probably looking for 4 or 5 real parameters that will guide plans we receive and kind of also reshape the applications that we have people fill out, and so they can actually demonstrate more details on, are they combining multiple financial incentives that one from the state that we may not know about, and we're also approving a brownfield plan. And Axle actually they started that. They were kind of in the middle of it, but they also had demonstrated need through some of those parameters as well. So the goal is to have those parameters, but also be flexible in case something comes up that maybe really does show a financial need that might just be outside of some of those parameters, or only hit 3 out of the 4 check boxes. So it's meant to guide staff a little bit more, but also still maintain some of the flexibility that's kind of helped us attract some businesses we may not have previously. So, but I think we all recognize that the economy's in a different place. Ferndale's kind of positioned a little differently. So when we had 5 or 6 people coming in requesting a brownfield, Oprahs and some of the other things that MEDC offers, we said, let's take a step back and really evaluate what our process is and how we can make it better. So hopefully at the next meeting we can, I would think that those goals would be wrapped up as well, and then we can share, that can be a line item on the agenda as well.
Yeah, their criterion we can vet all of these against to determine whether or not it's in keeping with the master plan and with the direction that the
That's
leadership
helpful. We're not
wants us
in a
to
vacuum,
go.
obviously.
Right.
Because, we, at the beginning, we generated a lot of that. I mean, there was a large revolving loan fund here that did incentivize a lot of the great development that happened. But as you've seen over time, it's just gone down. Not that it isn't going to go back up.
Right.
But, it was we talked in March, we thought it was somewhere around $250,000. And then when we were talking, in other meetings, it was down to 100,000. It's like, well, where is it? So that's why all of this is going on.
Yep.
Because it's not the only tool we have, but it's a valuable one that we can use.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty, I'm not sure if it was Derek or Marcia or who actually initiated it, but the LSRF really does set Ferndale apart. It was pretty innovative at the time when it started,
was.
so.
It was
Derek,
Derek, for sure.
Yeah, and
So.
be able to
Leadership.
feed that fund is important.
Yep. And so, reshaping some of the reimbursement agreements in the future, too, to make sure that that's getting paid first.
Capturing it at the end, an additional 5 years to replenish that
Right.
fund.
Right.
Right.
There's
So.
all these, things we can build into it if we have the foresight
Right.
to do so.
So I think it's going to be a good thing in the end for the entire city.
How about a motion to adjourn? I'll do that.
Second.
Voice call or do you want? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Wow.